Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. Happy Easter. It is Good Friday. It's actually 8 o'clock at night, and I had planned to do this a lot earlier in the day, but circumstances being what they are, it didn't happen. And I wasn't sure what to talk about today anyway, because after last episode where I had a complete meltdown over my escaped water, which was entirely my fault, I've actually spent Wednesday and Thursday doing my normal job, which is to be a gardener. And if you listened to the last episode, you'd have heard me complaining about how difficult it is to get hold of a pole saw. Well, we did manage to find one, but it wasn't 4 meters long. It was 2.4 meters long, which was really no good at all and a bit of a waste of money, which is extremely frustrating. So I was pollarding a mulberry tree all day Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I had a couple of regular clients to fit in, one of whom I normally do Friday. So I pushed them all forward, all forward onto Thursday, because today is Good Friday, which is obviously a bank holiday, and my mother was doing a lunch. So as I said on Tuesday, I really didn't think this was going to be my week, and it has turned out really not to be my week at all. I haven't managed to get any more invoices paid. In fact, I've actually had to write a letter on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and post it to the chief executive of a charity in the hope that they will pay me. That's been very tiresome. And I also had a tummy bug, which kind of manifested itself as just real discomfort. You know, when you have that feeling, but you're not sick or anything else, you just sort of have that horrible feeling in your stomach. So I haven't eaten very much this week, and that's left me quite tired. And then I thought, I don't know how I'm going to cope at my mum's today, because she always does a beautiful meal. And I was hungry, so I ate. And then this afternoon, I have been not moving from my bathroom. So that is why I didn't end up recording this earlier on, because I figured I'd have all afternoon to do it. And in the end, I have not been able to move very far. But I've come up to the plot this evening to put the chickens to bed. And I thought I'll just chat to you while I'm up here, because I don't have masses to say about what I've been doing in terms of the cut flowers this week. So hopefully you won't all switch off now. I really hope you don't. But I thought I'll come around the plot and just kind of do an assessment of what's going on, what's come up, because I haven't done that for a while. And I did start off doing that in January, where there was virtually nothing to see whatsoever, and I still managed to talk. So I've got some lovely perennials. They're doing really, really well. The only annuals that have come out so far is the cornflowers, which are really very happy, and the sweet peas up against the fence panels. And the sweet peas are doing brilliantly. Nobody seems to have put on any growth since I planted them in the ground, but the point is they are still alive. They're still in one piece, and so far nothing bad has happened to them. My perennials have put on quite a lot of growth, and I'm really happy about that. I talked about the balance between perennials and annuals on your cut flower plot when I first started this, and I've been doing lots of research into, what percentage of what you grow on your plot to maximise your profitability, I guess. And the wisdom seems to be something along 65% perennials and 35% annuals. Now, that's really challenging if you're first starting out, unless you already have lots and lots of perennials, or you can get hold of some for a very low price. But the cost of perennials at the moment, after Brexit and COVID and everything else, is really quite high. They've gone up by about 30% at my wholesalers in the last few years, and they're obviously never going to come down in price. And the prices in retail spaces, I think, are absolutely outrageous. I mean, outrageous. I don't know how anybody manages to afford them. I really don't. So the option of just starting out, unless you've got thousands of pounds, fantastic. You just can't do it. So I've been collecting perennials over the years, partly because I quite like buying those multi-plug packs that you get from companies like Thompson's and Thompson and Morgan and J. Parker's. They'll sort of do like 18 perennial plants or 36 perennial plants for about £20. And they're really tiny when they come, like literally smaller than your thumb. And you think, oh, this will never do anything. But I promise you, after a few years, you'll be looking at them thinking, oh my goodness, like it's a really a good value way of doing things. And I've got some lovely echinacea that I actually bought from a neighbour of mine last year who was growing them, and they didn't flower last year. They made nice, very nice little plants. And then after the squirrel ate all my Cavallonero just before Christmas, I assumed he'd eaten all the echinacea because they completely vanished over the winter. And some herbaceous perennials, you kind of still have a hint that there's still a plant there. These guys completely disappeared, and I assumed I'd lost them. Anyway, they popped up about a month ago, and now they're maybe between 2 and 3 inches tall, and they're looking really very healthy, and I'm quite pleased with those. I'm really pleased they've come back because I love echinacea. They're a gorgeous flower, and I'm hopeful that the plants will produce a lot of flowers this year. Now the achillea, I've got 6 achilleas, and they're in a mix of pinks and mauves, and I think there's a white one in there. And again, they were grown from plugs a few years ago, and the bushes are now, they're not bushes, but you know what I mean, they look like really bushy little plants. They're about a foot 30 centimeters across in diameter, and they flowered really well last year, so they're also a good bet for this year. I've got things like the Rudbeckia, which are coming up. They were also little tiny plugs, and I've interplanted them with garlic bulbs. So I like to try and do this anyway, just to maximize space, because the Rudbeckias aren't going to get massive. There's plenty of space around them. So I thought I'll pop all the garlic in there. And what else have we got? The Orangiums. I've got about 9 or 10 of these guys. These are about 3 centimeters tall. And I've got some Astrantia Roma, just a couple of those. They're quite expensive, and I bought 2 of them last year from the wholesaler. And they are a very expensive plant. They were more expensive than the bulk of the perennials. I'm not entirely sure why, but the flowers are very beautiful. These the pink ones I've got, they're very pretty. So I'm hoping, if I don't get my money back this year, maybe over the course of this year and next year. And I've got my Agastaki blackadder in the ground, and that's also about 3 inches tall. It's funny how all the perennials at this point are roughly the same size. He's doing very well. And I've bought a phlox up from my garden because it was just too big and it wasn't really that happy where it was. So he's come up, and he's about a foot wide by a foot tall. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 peonies. 5 of them are real babies. The 6th one is a little bit bigger. And I've also got peonies in my garden as well, which I might just cut them this year anyway. Lots and lots of foxgloves. I think it looks 10, 15, 20, 25. I think we're looking about 40 foxgloves, which is great, including a really, really huge one. 9, 12, 15, 18, and about something like 24 Verbena bonariensis. And these are all last year's plants. I haven't sown any this year, and I'm wondering now if that was a bit of a mistake. It might not be too late to sow some more of those, because the plants overwintered. They did really well, and they kind of started off into growth in about March, and I thought, oh, this is brilliant, these guys are off. But then in April they've been really quite unhappy, and they're sort of sitting, sulking, looking very miserable and not really doing anything. So I just think, oh God, maybe I should see if I've got some seed left over from last year and sow them. The cosmos are all out. Not cosmos. I haven't even sowed my cosmos seeds. I realised I was supposed to be sowing more seed this week because of my chart tells you which ones I have to do. And then because I was out working on Wednesday and Thursday, I haven't done any seed sowing, so I'm a little bit behind on that. I'm hoping to do that on Sunday. So it's the cornflowers that are out. Don't seem to have put any growth on at all, which is not surprising actually. I would expect them to be concentrating on getting their roots down and getting themselves established, and that seems to be what they're doing. And then dotted around the plot, like some fantastic trip hazards, are fennels. Now I love fennel, and they tend to self-seed around, and then they just pop up in the most inconvenient places. And I don't tend to move them, I just sort of walk around them, but some of them I've had to put black plastic pots around with the base cut off just as a sort of protection, because I did step on one which was awful, so I don't want to do that. So they've got like little protective shields around. I've got a fantastic Helianthus lemon queen, which is the annual sunflower. Sorry, perennial sunflower. Yeah, perennial sunflower, not the annual ones. I don't know if you've ever grown this yourself, but I found it in a garden once and I absolutely loved it. So it's a herbaceous perennial, grows to about 5 feet tall, and it has flowers that are a bit like a cosmos, a bit like a collarette dahlia, in a pale yellow, not an astringenty acidic yellow. And they're kind of multi-branched. So you could cut them quite low down and you'd have maybe, I don't know, between 4 and 7 flowers on the stem. So I'm thinking they'll be good this year. And I've got 2 agapanthus plants, one of which is not doing very well at all, and the other one is fine. They need lifting. They got put in the ground, and really they need to go in pots because agapanthus like to be squashed in order to flower really well. They need the roots to be tight in a pot, and they're not enjoying. It's not very relaxing for them, I think, to just be exposed in the grass. So I've got not grass, sorry, in the soil. There is some grass down the other end of the plot, but not down this end. And I've got a couple of Leucanthemum superba, which is a Shasta daisy, and they're a nice filler. And when I was looking out of my bathroom window this afternoon, as I had to, I discovered a mint plant in a pot. And I thought I must remember to bring that up because that is going to make fantastic foliage. It's already bushy enough that you could cut from it. Now, the key thing with mint, I'm sure you know this, is to always keep mint in a pot or a container or a tub or some kind of containment. If you release mint into the ground, it's like the most invasive perennial weed that you can imagine. It just goes all over the place and you'll be tracking it down for years. The roots get very thick. It's very hard to get it out. It likes getting into edges and corners and between bricks and around stone, and then it's just so difficult to get it out, and it just keeps coming back. So whatever you do, keep your mint in some kind of contained environment so it can't rampage off. And there's a sedum here in a pot which needs planting. It's come out of my garden because there wasn't enough space for it, so I thought I'll pop him up here. And my new 10-meter square bed is almost ready for planting up, which is very good news. I've got the most astonishingly enormous bruise on my arm and my leg where I was wheelbarrowing some soil from where we'd built the shed, and it was soil that had to be removed so that we could level the area to get the shed level so the doors would swing shut. And I brought it down here and I was wheeling it uphill and trying to turn it at the same time, which is fatal, and it tipped over and I tried to stop it, which is also fatal. So I have a huge bruise, which is about an inch in diameter on my forearm. And then the main body of the barrow fell over onto my leg. So I've got a bruise there as well. So, yes, really not my week. On the plus side, we have had some rain, and the water bowsers have collected about 50 litres each in the last week, which I'm really, really pleased about. But I'm not watering anything at the moment. We've been having showers roughly every day. Oh, there's some chicory popped up. That's good. I thought the squirrel ate all of that. We've had showers nearly every day, and whilst they haven't seemed to have amounted to much, what they've done is meant that I don't need to water anything. So it's taken the pressure off in terms of that. And it's also meant that whatever has come down, I can conserve it. So I've got some tulips coming up in a tub, and I'm going to make a real effort this autumn to buy lots and lots of fancy parrot tulips for next year. But I didn't have any money last autumn, and it's such an awful situation to be in, to not be able to buy plants when you need to for the future. So I'm going to make sure I have money this autumn. So I've planted some tulips and they are up, and then I've got a tub of alliums as well, which are also on their way up, which is promising. And the only other thing I've done is espalier a couple of apple trees, which has really nothing to do with the cut flowers at all, but I bought them about February time, I think. Well, one of them I bought last year, and I bought another one in February. And I was going to plant them out up here, but it turns out that the reason they were on sale so cheaply in the supermarket is because they're a group 3 and they are triploids. And if you know anything about apple trees, the triploids are a bit of a challenge in that you need another pollinator and then another pollinator, and it all gets very complicated. And I've only got one apple tree on the plot, whereas I've got about 7 at home. So I thought, well, the best place for these little guys is to be at home, where they've got a better chance of being pollinated by somebody. And I didn't want them to be like a tree shape because I don't have the space at my place. So I thought last night, I'll just espalier them using some bamboo canes and some string and some cable ties. And they're now too big to fit in the back of my car. So they now just stand here looking very decorative and creative, but I need my other half's van to actually get them home. And so it does feel a bit of a weird week. Like I'm normally on the plot every single day doing something, or I'm in the greenhouse sowing seeds, and I've really kind of put pause on everything. So in order to go out and earn some money. So I feel, hello ladies, it's time for bed, this way. Come on, let's go. Come on, there you go. Honestly, these ducks would stay out all night. They hate going to bed. They really, really never want to go to bed. The chickens will be in ages ago, especially the older ladies. They like to go in first, quite early in the evening, get their places, the exact same place. Diana Ross sleeps in the same bit of perch, and she has done for the last 4 years. Real creature of habit. But the ducks hate it, so you always have to go chasing around after them. And Mr. Wiggles is decided that this new shed is his private domain, and he does not like sharing it with the bigger ducks. So he tends to go in first, and then as they try and go through the door, he bites them, grabs onto their feathers and chases them around, and they run straight back out the door. So it's a bit of a mission getting these guys into bed at the moment. And I can't remember what I was saying before I started talking about ducks, but I've probably been nattering on for long enough. Suffice to say, by next Tuesday, I very much hope that I will have been back doing cut flower things. Oh, that was it. Yes, because I've been a bit doing other things. So I feel a little bit disconnected from all of it now. I have been remembering to go out and shut the greenhouse up at night and open it in the morning. And I look at everybody and I think, right, what do we need to be doing next? Because even 3 days away from all of it actually feels like a really long time. And I feel like I need to get my head back in the game after this week. So I will leave it there for now and wish you a wonderful Easter break if you are celebrating Easter. And I will be back on Tuesday with an update and hopefully more news to share with you. And I'm also going to see Richard Bailey, my dahlia man, on Tuesday morning. We're going to do some more cuttings, and I might well have some news from him as well, which I'm sure you'll enjoy because everything he tells me is super useful. So that's it from me. All the very, very best to you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week.